I'm always just staring at the screen waiting. So, okay, here we are. So this is the Business Life and Brotherhood podcast, which is really a video cast. And today we've got Sarina. And so Sarina, you want to introduce yourself to the folks at home watching and listening who may not have met you before, and we'll jump right in with your 45 best seconds of who you are. Does that sound fair?
Sure. All right. Hello, I am Sarina Jones. I am from all over the place. My dad was in the military, so I lived in a lot of places throughout my life. We ended up in Alaska. I went to school at UNLV, so I'm a rebel. I graduated in 2005. I was in the Lambda chapter down there. Let's see, seasonally, I would come back to Alaska and work for, at the time, Princess, which is now Holland America Princess. And would do that seasonally for a long time, did a lot of travel. Ended up back here, took a year-round position, and left for a while, and now I'm back, but in Skagway.
Yeah, and so you left for a while and found yourself, do I remember correctly that you spent a minute in Washington in the Olympia area, or was that your parents, or was that you?
Yeah, no, you're right. So my family ended up moving out of Juneau, and they went down to, they lived down in Tumwater, Olympia area. And so I left actually to go hike the PCT. I decided, why not? So I went to go hike that, hiked about 1,000 miles of that, and my hiking partner ended up hurting themselves, so we had to leave the trail. But the goal was to hike the entire thing. So I was ready, and we were pretty bummed out about that, but eventually I'll go back and do that.
That's rad. I had no idea you were doing the PCT. That's insane.
Yeah, so that was the whole point of like leaving, was to go do that. And then when we had to leave unexpectedly, I went back up because I had left my car and everything with my family, so I ended up there. And then, yeah, I ended up sticking around in that area for a while.
That's killer. Okay. Well, let's jump back for a minute. One of the things I always, like to touch on just quickly is that kind of college experience with AKPsi, if you did any leadership roles or anything like that. But then moving out of, like, did you go to school for what you do now, or what was it like coming out of school? And I know that's like 3 questions, but getting into transitioning from college life into career life, or, adulting.
Yeah, so I went to school for business management, so I'm actually doing exactly what I went to school for now. I'm the operations manager up for Holland America Princess here in Skagway. Transitioning, I loved going to school at UNLV. I loved being part of the Lambda chapter. I was the philanthropy chair for a while down there, so I had a lot of fun with that. Leaving school, I wish I could say I was as focused as some of our other brothers that had a lot of plans set for themselves, but I think I'm more of a travel bug. So my worry was just going around and, seeing what I could see. But because I did come back seasonally for HAP, it just kind of happened. I was here for a while, and I think with all the skills I had built up going to school and everything, I think it was kind of a natural transition into taking a management position with the company here.
So did you work for HAP through college then? Before, was that part of your college life? Yeah, so I would come out
during the summer seasons and I would work. I started as a dock rep, so I was a dock rep, and then I became a dispatcher, and then became an operations supervisor. Then I became the assistant manager. Then I became the manager, and now I'm back as the operations manager years later. So I grew up in the company, which was great, actually, because it's a pretty fast-paced environment. So
yes, that is.
And that's actually how we know each other, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so, which makes this a lot of fun to kind of go back and tease out that story. So I guess I didn't know that you had also, through your college career, found yourself going up to Alaska and working for HAP. So let me ask you this, because that has been a theme in your life, and for so many of the folks that we know, travel, seasonal lifestyle, there is just a draw to that. I mean, obviously you know how it is, and we have so many friends who live that lifestyle. Did you do anything else work-wise? Did you find yourself in any other positions or with any other companies in that kind of college to now phase?
Yeah, I worked for a couple other places. So when I first came out of college, I went back to Las Vegas and joined a company down there. It was then Sunterra, I think, but the travel bug was still so strong in me that we had a meeting one day about years down the line, and I just couldn't see myself there. So I transitioned out of that phase. But it's a I did end up after the PCT. I went around looking for jobs, and I just wanted something fun. And I went into Panera actually, and I talked to them just about being a cashier while I tried to decide what I was going to do. And after talking with me, I ended up talking to the regional manager and all kinds of people, and I became a manager there. So my just trying to be a cashier ended up turning into they were trying to give me my own cafe actually right before I left. I would be running the Olympia branch right now if I hadn't came back up to Alaska.
That's super funny. You're too qualified to be a cashier. Why don't we give you your own store?
Yeah.
That's so funny. So, well, let me ask you this then. So you had kind of done a couple other things. What was Sunterra? Were they like a construction or a solar company? That's what.
No, they're now Diamonds Resorts. I think they do timeshare but we were in the department that we actually rented out the timeshares like hotel rooms.
Was that like come get a free massage, but you have to listen to my sales pitch first?
No, the department we worked in was literally just like hotels. So almost like you see on hotels.com, Expedia, all that kind of stuff. When the timeshares weren't in use, we were renting them out as hotel rooms. So we giving space to places and actually taking reservations and doing all that.
So aside from Panera, you've really been in the travel industry and lifestyle your whole life.
Yeah, I did do my time serving like most people do. So when I was in college, I worked for, also while I was down there, I worked for Lone Star Steakhouse. So I did my job of
nice
serving the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they need good help. They need that. And you need money when you're in college. So,
yes, for sure.
So in how did you connect with, like, Sunterra sounds like that was a company that was close to you, local, might have had ties with the university?
That I'm not sure of. I actually got that job through friends. So I knew, yeah. So, which is how I think you get most things. I think the only job I didn't kind of get that way was the Panera when I just walked in there.
Yeah.
I had two really good friends that were already working for the company at the time.
Okay. And what about HAP when you came into Princess? Did they recruit out of there? Did you know people that were already doing that, or how did you get into that network?
That actually was my father, so you can thank him for that. He while I was still in school, was my very first. I was only down at school for a couple months, and my father, looking ahead, decided that I needed a job when I got home. So they were recruiting in the area up in Juneau, and he sent me a couple links, and you could apply online, and I applied and I talked to them, and the rest is history.
Wow. So literally it was just an online application. You heard from somebody up north and we did an interview, but it wasn't really a friend or a connection or anything like that.
Oh yeah, what's crazy is that I'd lived in Juneau for a couple years and I knew cruise ships came in, but I really was unaware of the company itself. But it sounded like fun, working with the cruise line. So I applied, not even really knowing what it was.
So when you went to UNLV, did your family live in Juneau? Or are you? You were kind of all over the place, but I mean, like.
Yeah, no, that's kind of our last stop on my tour with my dad traveling. He had got stationed up there when I was in high school. So we moved up there and he retired there. So they were there, which is why I kept going back, right? It was easy. Yeah. I could go back because the family was there and I could visit and work.
That's fantastic. Yeah. That's super interesting. Kara, her family, she was actually born in Juneau, and then ended up going back, and her dad lived there for a while. All this stuff. So that's a really interesting kind of back and forth. Okay, well that's awesome. And so, how many years now has it been that you've worked with HAP? It's been
over a decade now.
Yeah,
I think I started about in like 01. I've taken like a summer off here and there, you know, so it's been quite a while now. Year round, it's only been like 5 or 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
Because I stayed seasonal for so long. It just worked out for me. I'd work and then I'd go travel. And about the time I start running out of money, they'd be calling me to see if I want to come back again.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the addiction, right? That's how it's like these golden handcuffs, right? It's like, oh, it's only 5 to 6 months, you know, at the most 4 or 5 months. And then you have some money and then you can go do whatever you want. And then you run out of money. And the phone, and you're like, oh, here we go. Do it again. Yeah. That's rad. So then when traveling or were there things like that were like big bucket lists? I mean, have you had the opportunity to, because it's you work in truly a lifestyle business. There's all these guys on the internet. They're like, oh, make money from your laptop and all this garbage from, you know, a beach in Jamaica and have a lifestyle business, but you actually are in a lifestyle business. Has that afforded you to hit every continent? Have you been able to travel all the places that you've wanted to go, or because you've done this for the better part of a decade, do you still find yourself going, oh man, that would be cool, I still haven't been there, or I want to there? Do you find that list continues to grow?
Yeah, I'd say definitely the list continues to grow. So it does afford me to go and do these things, and even year round now, because, you know, in the off season, we do still have a lot to do, but because we work so much during the summer, we're allowed a lot of time off during the winter. So, and I think that's part of why I left too, because I thought, man, the only challenge to that is I can't go anywhere during the summer. And I thought, man, I want to go. But then you get out and you get into the real world and other jobs that are like seasonal, and you realize like it's not as easy to just take like a month off of work and just like disappear and, you know, like they care. So yeah, and actually coming October, so our last ship is actually coming in on the 3rd. On the 8th, I will be on a plane on my way to Iceland with my father. And we're gonna do the Iceland stopover like I did with BK in April back in the day, and we're gonna go over to Norway and try to see if we can, you know, touch some of our roots.
That's killer. Norway. Kara just went. I'm like pumping Kara right now. She just went to Norway and like fell in love. It's like the
really. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And so like the last ship is on the 3rd. You say goodbye, and then the 8th. How long's your stopover in Iceland?
We're only going to do about like 3 days, because I have been to Iceland before, and, you know, I think it'd be cool. I think my dad will really love it, but I think our major goal is to go to Norway. So we're going to go to Oslo and like Fredrikstad, because I guess that's where my great-great-grandfather like was from. So we're going to go see if we can, you know, see the spots, maybe visit his grave or something, maybe see if we can rustle up some old family members.
That's fantastic. That's so great. Yeah. I think you're super right, because if you have a travel bug, if it's something that you aspire to do, if it's part of a lifestyle that you actually want, your line of work and what you guys do, what HAP does, you know, is kind of the only way to there's other ways, but you can't go get a job at a tax firm and say, okay guys, I'm going to take September off and go travel.
I'm just not going to be there.
Yeah. And that's like, I find that for myself too. It's, you know, it's like, that's one of the benefits of, you know, owning your own business or being self-employed. But guess what? You know, nothing happens while you're gone. The machine just stops. And so theoretically you could take all the time off you want, but if you want to eat,
exactly.
you got to come back. Well, that's awesome. And so through your tenure, which was really truly a tenure now, you've had positions where you've hired, you've worked with people, and obviously are still connected with folks in the fraternity. Do you have folks back from your alma mater, from your fraternity, from your chapter that you're still close with or connected with? Even all this time later.
I say we're somewhat connected. We're not super close. I think one thing about Vegas is being kind of like a commuter school. I think everyone kind of is, we all are spread out. But definitely I still have brothers that we talk, or, we check in. We're friends on Facebook. So we see what we're up to. It's not that we talk like all the time, but definitely, I'm saying happy birthday, and I'm noticing the cool things that they're up to. But yeah, I can't say that, we talk like all the time, but
yeah. What about just the network of folks in general? I mean, that's, we're obviously connected, and we had a brother connect us, and the last interview we did together was, when I was coming up to work with you guys. So
yeah. I actually hired quite a few brothers, like, because we were down in Washington. So I remember when it first came up, and I started talking, and I realized like how many brothers we actually did hire up in DeHap up there in Juneau. Yeah, pretty amazing.
I think that stuff is just super, like, I don't know if serendipitous is the way to put it, but it's very interesting, the connections and the network, and how people relate, and having that piece of the puzzle. It was like, oh, there is some shared experience here. There is something that we have in common that we wouldn't have otherwise, without it. So that's just super interesting to me. Even though everybody did something different at college, there was always something different, like chapters operated different, everything.
Yeah. But what's great is actually with the Washington chapter you guys got there, I think actually I speak to you guys all that, we hired up in Juneau probably more than I speak to my brothers in our chapter. Just we became such close friends.
Right. I mean,
the proximity is a little closer.
From Alaska to Washington than Las Vegas. Yeah, certainly. Well, that's awesome. Is there so one of the questions that I like to always ask people is, because what I've found is that the more I connect with more people in AKPsi, and the more I learn about their history and their work history, and kind of, it really paints a picture of kind of their aspirations, right? Because you spend so much of your time at work. And so because of that, everybody has such a different perspective or definition for what success is. And it's a very broad question, I know, but what would you say is like a good definition of success, whether it's your own personal definition, or if it's something you aspire to, or anything like that somebody else might be like, yeah, that's how I look at it too. Because it's not always just about, the money, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, for me, success is, money really doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, we need money to survive. I think as long as I can feed myself and do the things that I want to do, if I can go travel and all that, that's successful for me. I think for me in my position right now that I have, success for me is being happy in my job, and making sure that the people that work around me and with me and for me are enjoying their jobs as well. So obviously getting the work done that we need to get done, but doing it in a way that, because like you said, and especially in my position, work is life. And so after a while, and even if it isn't for you, you do spend a good majority of your time at work. So having it be in a way that is successful, in a way that people can like grow to. So it's not just, it's not just about the company now and what we're doing, but enjoying your time, learning new skills, meeting new people, growing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And there's a perfect segue, because we kind of touched on being an operations manager and your position, but I don't really think that most people understand the vastness and the speed and just the how much in your face that your job really is. And so if you were to be able to explain well to people what it is that you really do,
yeah,
how would you sum that up? Because you have a huge position, you're in charge of a ton of people.
Yeah, so basically for HAP, we are the land-based operations for the cruise lines that come in up here. And for Skagway especially, we have local drivers. They drive the motor coaches, so they have to have CDLs. We train them in that. And we have highway as well, so they leave us and they're gone out of town, and we have to keep tabs on them, make sure everything is going well for, maybe a week. So I'm in charge of those managers that are in charge of them. So we just make sure that, we train everyone well and give them the tools they need to go out and do that job daily. I have a luggage crew that's under me, so that way, make sure we get the luggage to and fro where it needs to go. Dock reps that are down at the docks, making sure that the people coming off the ships here getting where they need to go. I have guest service teams that are stationed at the hotels, making sure that the people coming on and off of the highway tours, staying at the hotel for a little while and then going on the ship or going on our tours are taken care of. What else? I got a wash crew, because we got to make sure that our buses are clean. So yeah, all those positions are under me. So basically on a day, I'm just trying to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and we're getting all that done.
It's so funny to hear you talk about it, because I get excited. I love the logistics of the whole thing. So what would you say, how many people do you think would be your direct reports? And then how many people do you think are, because like you said, you have highway, so you have buses leaving Skagway and heading, anywhere, like Whitehorse, I'm guessing, is a destination.
Yeah, they go to Whitehorse and Dawson. They make it all the way up there.
And so those folks who are tour guides and drivers on those coaches, give everybody a perspective on how many people you're managing in that operation.
So we have anywhere from 90 to 100 seasonal employees. Directly under me, I probably have, I'd say 35 that are my direct reports that okay. They come to me about anything. And then I have a transportation manager and a shoreside logistics manager, and they're technically over all of the driver guides. So the 60, 70 driver guides that we hire in are underneath them, so indirectly over them too.
Okay.
But yeah.
So you've got about 90, and all total, it's right around 90 to 100 people that
yeah, seasonally. Yeah, the rest of us are year round. Yeah.
Yeah, and then how many? Because I want to give people a real perspective of the how enormous this is. So there's 95 people that come in seasonally. There's a handful of people who are year round up there with you. How many guests?
I don't even. Thousands and thousands.
like one day. Like how many guests in one day?
We have actually the Bliss is now visiting us, which is a big old monster.
It's so big. It's so big.
Yeah.
It's bigger than some of the buildings in Seattle at parks down here. You drive by it and you drive that ship is bigger than the building. Yeah.
If you want to understand the struggle when they come in, our internet goes poop and our phone services get slow, and sometimes you can't get very good connection because it's so huge and there's so many people in town.
Is that a 5,000, 3,000 people?
I think it's 5. It's huge. And next year we're also on top of them. We're getting I can't remember which one it is, the Royal or whatever the ginormous princess ship is. That's going to be coming in as well. And I think the Joy will be visiting us. So we're exploding up here. Everyone loves Alaska.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing. It's also kind of freaky. There's a lot of politics.
Yeah, I think our expectations for next year to have more people. So I'd say we have 90 to 100, but we usually want more than that. That's pretty much just what with the seasonal positions. It's hard after a certain point. You just kind of work with what you get.
Right. Well, I think that what I want people to hear, because this is something that most people aren't familiar with this industry. Like we're blessed to know people who have that travel bug, and we've worked together, and we have a community of people who are all over it. But there's going to be other people that might see this and I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't know that I could work for 4 months and then go travel the world. That sounds interesting. Yeah, it does. It sounds super interesting. And then there's going to be folks that, oh, it's a tour company, but they don't understand that you're getting 5, 10, 15,000 people, within a very short time period, whether it's a 1-ship day or a 2-ship day. In Juneau, I think we had 5 ship days. Was something that I think that was as many as we brought in. There might have been a rogue day in there too. But you really can't fathom the amount of herding that many cats, right? Moving that many people.
It's exactly herding cats.
Yeah,
exactly what it is.
I really just wanted to, help paint a clear picture of it for folks. But no, that's awesome, and you obviously love it because you're still doing it, and you got the phone call to step up and do it up in Skagway. So that's super fun. What are there any, aside from that and this line of career, are there any, because what some of the other questions that I like to ask are just kind of your day-to-day life things that are helping you with your life, and because we all live with a cell phone, a very old phone, but like apps, are there any things that you guys are using in business or just in your life that make your life easier app-wise?
Since you've been gone, we've had to go electronic logs. So we use Zonar now logs are electronic. We have GPSs on all of our coaches so we can see where they are. It also flags where they go, stuff like that. So it's nice because you get real-time information. It's also not nice because it's, technology, which sometimes can
bite you back,
crash and not be available. So we still have to learn the old school way. So if anything happens, we're ready. But that's been kind of cool. It's been a headache, but also cool to not have to worry about all the stuff and to be able to not have to keep radioing and saying, where are you? Where are you? You can look it up on there and see, like, this is where the coach is. So we know how long, it'll be.
What are you guys using for radio? Is that electronic now too?
Yeah.
So no shortwave?
No. Yeah. We're all digitized down here.
That's crazy. I remember shortwave when they transferred from the long range to I can't remember. It was like they had like this long range thing, and then they made us get rid of that, and then we went shortwave, and nobody could hear anybody. It was like, where are everybody?
Yeah.
Well, what about daily life? I mean, what about are you a big to-doist? Do you do a lot of podcasting? Do you consume content? Are you listening to any podcasts or reading any great works?
I wish I could say that I am, but I really not. I listen to radios and I listen to people all day long. So when I come home, more like I'm going for a hike. I'm enjoying the outdoor, my sanity.
Yeah.
So I can't really say that I am. And I try to read, but I usually fall asleep when I do. So that's more of wintertime activities for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's awesome. I super appreciate you making the time, and especially we had such technical difficulty. Everybody doesn't know, but it was pretty funny. Glad we were able to make it happen. Is there anything, because you were so generous just to say yes and jump on and not really have any idea what you were getting yourself into? Was there anything that you expected to cover or thought you wanted to cover that we didn't touch on?
Not really. Like you said, I really didn't have any idea. I thought you were pulling my leg when you first messaged me. I was like, what is this? But like I said, anything for a brother. It was nice even just to check back in with you and see how things are going. So
I'm trying to curb my enthusiasm to ask you all of the questions and everything, just because for the sake of the show, I don't think that they would want me to ask all these nerdy questions about the stuff. But no, it's been super fun. I really do appreciate it, and being able to check in and say hello. what I like, if it's okay with you, you know, I'd like to, you know, I don't know if you're on LinkedIn or whatever, but is there a way for folks, here's the thing. The reason I started this is there's so many people doing so many different things, and we don't have a forum to communicate and really dive deep on some of that stuff. And my goal is always that somebody's going to hear something and be like, oh my gosh, that person's a rock star. I need them on my team, and maybe pay you more money. Or they're going to say, that sounds super interesting, I want to work with them. And somehow a connection is born, right? So is there an easy way for folks to reach out to you? Do you prefer LinkedIn, or is there a way, if somebody saw this and was like, oh my gosh, this girl is my soulmate, like I need to talk to her about travel, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I wish I could say I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not. I'm so lame. They could email me. I have my work emails, really easy to find me on. I got my phone on me 24/7, or they could catch me on Facebook if they want to know. I'm more than willing to talk to anyone that wants to about any of this stuff. Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, what I'll do is I'll drop like your Facebook or ping me with your work email if that's cool, and I'll drop that into like the notes so that if they
yeah, for sure. And if all they want to know is, even if they want to ask about cruises or if they anything, it's not just Skagway. We have positions in our company all over the place, so more than happy to talk to anybody about it. And yeah, if anyone wants to offer me tons more money, then go ahead and hit me up too.
Yeah, what's up? Let's do that. Okay.
Only if I can take months off during the year, though.
Yeah, that's the great caveat, right? Like, yes, tons more money, but I need months to go travel.
Yeah, months is more important.
Living the dream for sure. Well, awesome. I super appreciate it, and those folks that are listening and watching at home, we'll drop all that information so you can reach out to Sarina and say hello, and then obviously you can leave comments here, and I'll try to answer them. She's going to be busy, so.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to close it out.
All right.